Hey everybody, this is Soger. This is going to be my city-state tier list, and I'll also just describe strategies involving each city-state if it's relevant when I get to them. Before that, let me just get this out of the way. For people who are unfamiliar with me, I play single-player deity or higher difficulty, and my goal every single game is to win in the fewest turns possible. This is important because if you play a more casual game or multiplayer, these strategies or these rankings may not make sense to you because they aren't for the way that you are playing. This is all just, hey, will this city state help you win the game faster? Right, so now let's look at how I'm going to be ranking these city states. One, I'm only going to do our S, A, B, and C tier. S tier is in every situation, you should do everything in your power to get Caesarity of the city state. It is one of the most important things in the game. A tier is in almost every situation, this city state's going to help. B tier is you're situational. If your situation meets its needs, it will help, but there will also be situations where it doesn't help. And then C tier is going to be city states that the only reason to ever get Caesarity of them is for utility purposes, to do a levy war, to get early exploration, stuff like that. When I'm judging these city states, that's going to be judged by how good their ability is length of game, because there's plenty of city states that are very, very good at the end game, but that doesn't matter. The majority of the game is the early mid game, obviously. End game doesn't really have that much effect on the outcome. So it's going to be length of game, how important is their ability, what their ability actually provides, obviously, and finally the general use of the ability. Like, how often are you going to be able to use it? So something that is very situational obviously is going to rank lower than something that will improve every single game. All right, let's get going into the rankings. Religious city states are the third strongest city states. They provide one faith in the capital plus one faith for every city with a shrine. A huge bonus of this is because Holy Site will a lot of times be the first district you're building if you're trying to win it as fast as possible. For Monumentality Synergy, our Grandmaster's Chapel, you might actually see the secondary part of the bonus having a shrine in a city where every city state before this, with the exception of scientific city states, that's just not going to happen. You're just going to get the capital bonus. Where religious city states, if you are going like a monumentality play, you'll probably have at least one shrine by the end of the ancient era or be looking to build it. Now, this comes with a huge caveat. If you're going to be ignoring religious play or faith purchasing through monumentality or Grandmaster's Chapel, I would put religious city states farther down the list. But once again, seeing as I'm going to be using everything at my disposal, more strategies will involve faith purchasing or religion than don't. So I just find the utility of faith to be more valuable than science. Armagh is the first religious city-state, and their Caesarean bonus is you get the access to the monastery tile improvement, which provides one faith, full housing, and then plus one faith for every two adjacent districts. This is it provides full housing. The one faith is negligible. Putting it next to two districts, you, I'm not going to go through the trouble of that. If it happens, it happens. I'm not going to go out of my way to look at that. It provides an extra housing at colonialism. By then, housing really doesn't matter. This falls into B tier just because it's a cheaper version to get you up to that 7 or 10 population you want to get to when compared to farms or a granary. This is just cheaper. I would rank it higher in B if it was spammable, but the reality is you can't even put them next to each other. So realistically, it's just a really weak way to get full housing. Chinguetti is the next religious city-state. Their Caesarean bonus is plus one faith for every follower of the dominant religion in your city. It doesn't matter if you founded the religion or not, it just matters how many followers of the dominant religion in your city. This is actually an incredibly powerful city-state, whether or not you're using a religion or faith, because faith can be used to buy great people, and trade routes are just so impactful in this game. I strive to have a trade route for every city that I settle. So anything that modifies trade routes ranks really highly in my gameplay. The fact that you don't have to found the religion that you're getting the plus one faith for means that if you happen to like conquer a city with a religion or the AI flips one of your cities, you can start getting pretty decent faith per turn and buy great people in like a domination game or a science game where you've ignored religion. And then you're just getting a bit of a currency that you can use for things. So it does apply to all game modes. I think if you're playing a non faith game, I would rank this slightly lower. But overall, anything that modifies a trade route and is just universal like this is going to rank really high. This is A tier for me. Jerusalem is the next religious city state, and their Caesarean bonus is your holy sites provide four times the religious pressure, so they all act like your main holy city. It does not affect the religious pressure of your holy city, the city you founded your religion in. This is terrible. It's per turn religious pressure, and you're trying to win as fast as possible. If you are not playing with a religion, this helps you exactly zero. And realistically, once you start getting up in front on rival civilizations, you're not going to be building that many holy sites. Unless you start like right next to somebody, this isn't really going to apply to any of your rivals. Yes, it'll help you flip your cities if you don't go religious colonization with religious pressure, but this is C tier, and really it's only ranking above the city states that I believe provide absolutely nothing in the game. Kandy is the next religious city state, and their Caesarean bonus is a free relic every time you find a natural wonder and 50% more faith from relics per turn. Um, this is a tale of two city states realistically. Finding candy in the early game is one of the strongest city states. An early relic basically guarantees you your pantheon in just a few turns. It's an amazing trade item, getting you a lot of gold. You can get over 20 gold per turn. And usually, if you're getting like something like 20 gold per turn, you're still going to get the plus 10 trade modifier because the AI will value it a lot more. Usually, it's about 35, 40 gold per turn that they value it in the early game. Also, with like secret societies, Our Lady Congo, you can win the game in like a huge map in like 60 turns with a well played candy game without monopoly modes. Candy in the early game is absolutely broken. Now, adversely, if you find candy after you've explored the map, they're absolutely worthless. They are right above Preslov for worst city state, and I would even debate they're worse than Preslov at that point because their ability is literally providing nothing. So it really depends on when you find candy. I'm going to take the easy way out and just give it two rankings. If you find it in the early game, it's S tier. If you find it in the late game, it's absolute trash C tier. La Venta is the next religious city-state, and their Caesarean bonus is you gain access to the Colossal Head tile improvement, which provides one faith per turn, and then plus one faith for every two adjacent wood or rainforest tiles. It also provides tourism at flight for its faith per turn. I actually want to like this a lot more than I do because this should be a worse version of the Moai. But the problem is, like, it just doesn't have the same impact. Like, at no point is this providing enough to spam, even though it's spammable. In the early game, it's going to provide more yields because of chopping. And at the late game, you're going to be investing too many builder charges to have them have decent output by replanting trees because realistically, it's not worth saving like production are rainforest chops for later on colossal head tourism output. So it doesn't really have a home, in my opinion, when you're speed running the game or trying to win fast because you're going to be removing the woods tiles. Now, obviously, end game when you're putting down national parks and planting trees, anyways, if you have access to it, you might as well throw it down. But just because it can fit into a slot doesn't mean that strategically it's a vital component. It's situational at best. It's in B tier. The next religious city state is Nazca, and their Caesarean bonus is you get access to Nazca lines and the greatest screenshots when you have Petra. This it has to be built on desert tiles. Yes, it adds one faith to adjacent tiles of any type, and eventually it adds +1 production to flat tiles, and it adds eventually adds one food to adjacent desert tiles. I get all this. It's a screenshot wonder. You shouldn't be settling in the desert unless there's some sort of resource. You're already settling a subpar city. If you're settling desert tiles, this doesn't change that fact. The appeal modifier is nice, but once again, that's not enough to make settling a desert city worth it. If you're playing Molly, this definitely does provide a little bit more utility, but even with Molly, you want to settle adjacent to desert if you can. You don't want to settle complete desert because you want to be working the tiles on non-desert tiles as Molly. It makes nice screenshots, but realistically, if you're trying to win as fast as possible, this and Petra can stay in the bottom tier. Vatican City is the next religious city state, and their Caesarean bonus is you get 400 points of religious pressure to cities within 10 tiles of either your founded religion or the dominant religion of your civ. This is it's a strong city state if you have the right situation. If you are earning a lot of great people who it doesn't matter what city they're used in, you can use this to synergize very well with science, our culture to followers, belief, religion, and see some great returns on this. Alternatively, if you aren't getting a lot of great people that can be used anywhere, this doesn't really deliver much. And obviously, if you don't have a religion or the religion that is your dominant religion you don't really care about because the beliefs aren't helping you, this city state isn't providing anything. So even though I find it very, very valuable, it is extremely situational, but it does perform very, very well if the situation is right. It is in B tier. The final religious city state is Yerevan, and their Caesarean ability is you get to choose your apostle promotion from the entire list, not just 3 randomly chosen ones. The reality of the city state is, uh, in a non-religious game, you're not going to create that many apostles because if you go heavy faith, you're probably going to be using it for monumentality, great people purchasing, or Grandmaster's Chapel. Buying apostles isn't going to happen in a non-religious game. If you are going for a religious victory, this will help, but realistically, in a religious victory, your whole goal is to just get to apostles as early as possible and spread your religion. You're going to be doing a lot of missionary spreading and stuff like that in the early game. By the time this comes online, you're not going to see. It's going to speed up a religious game slightly, but not enough to rank it any higher than mid B tier. Just because it's nice that you can choose the promotion and there's some utility there, but it's just not going to see a lot of value in a lot of games, in my opinion. Thank you for watching my video. If you want to click the playlist, you can watch the other city-state categories and follow along for the other city-state categories I haven't finished recording yet. Thank you for watching and bye.